Hello everybody, and welcome to part 12 of my FTC Programming tutorial videos. So in this video we're going to talk a little bit more about the caveats of the IMU and field-centric drive, and we're also going to talk about resetting the IMU. So one problematic thing about using the IMU in order to determine how you're actually going to drive your robot is there's an element of drift to the IMU. What I mean when I say that is over time, throughout the course of the match, slowly the IMU is going to become less and less accurate. So when you set your robot down and initialize it, the IMU gets initialized, everything is set up so that the direction you're facing is forwards. Throughout the course of a 2 or 3 minute game, it's gonna be slightly off. Sometimes it's gonna be off a couple degrees, sometimes it'll end off being, I don't know, I've seen as much as 20 degrees. Now, I'm not entirely familiar with the cause of this, but obviously the Rev expansion hub and Rev control hub, they're not going to have, astronaut grade gyroscopes in them, so them getting off by a little bit is kind of expected. So to combat that, it's often common that on a field-centric robot, you'll have a button on your controller in order to kind of reset the angle. That way you can kind of, if you're in a bad spot where your driver's actually starting to lose control of the robot because the IMU has drifted so much, you can kind of orient yourself, slam yourself into a wall, press down a button, the IMU will reset itself, and then you can continue on with your newly acquired heading angle. So I'm just going to take the teleop program that we set up last time, and I'm just going to kind of add that piece of code, and then we'll get started. So first things first, I am going to choose to use the deadline in order to do this. Now, you don't have to do this. As far as I can tell, there's not a significant drawback to resetting the IMU multiple times in a single, or back to back to back, but it's just probably not the best idea to go about doing it in that way. So I'm gonna choose to avoid it. So in this case, I'm going to get the necessary imports we need. So we need first Inspire's FTC, Robot Core, internal, system, deadline, and we also need Java, util, concurrent, time unit. All right, now that we have that, I am going to configure our deadline after our IMU initialized. So I'm going to make a new deadline, and I'm going to call this IMU, let's just call it Gamepad rate limit again. You obviously can change the name, something specific to the IMU. You may find that you're going to have multiple rate limits, so you have something with the IMU you want to limit, and then you have other things. I'm just going to call it Gamepad rate limit to stay consistent. I'm going to make a new deadline variable. I'm going to say, I'm just going to give it 500, I feel like half a second is a good baseline. You can obviously adjust this if you need to, but I don't see you needing to reset the IMU more than once or twice in a single second. That seems quite extreme. And then I'm obviously going to pass in milliseconds because that's kind of the standard here. So now that we've done that, we actually have to utilize the deadline. So I'm going to say if Gamepad rate limit has expired and Gamepad 1.a, I'm going to use A in this particular example. You can choose whatever button you want. Then I'm going to do IMU.reset yaw. Remember, yaw is what we do to actually get the heading, or which direction the robot is facing. And then we, of course, also need to reset the Gamepad rate limit. And I'm going to choose to do this before the calculations of the heading. So what this will actually do is if you reset the IMU right here, when you get down to this line, what's actually going to happen is this is just going to come out to be 0. You're going to have a heading of 0, and then these calculations aren't going to change your LY or LX at all, so your adjusted values are very simply just going to be whatever they were when they came out of the gamepad. All right, so I hope this video was helpful. If you need help with anything else regarding the IMU, please let me know. If I've done something horribly wrong in this video and none of this works, also let me know and I'll re-upload this. See you in the next video.